Good afternoon or good evening. It's getting late, guys. It's 7:30. Steve's here with us. It's 6:30. It's in Texas. We are super excited to have Mr. Steve Moore from Garrett Metal Detectors here with us tonight. And we got our main man down there, Mr. Michael Coley, Mr. NC Relic Hunter himself. He's got
Hey
Nate's
guys.
name on there. Is Nate going to be with you tonight, Michael?
No, I think you left that on there. Well, I left that on there. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I had my son
Um,
on here last week, Steve, and I left his name on here. He was on here with me, my
yeah.
17-year-old son. So.
My granddaughter's here, so she may come popping in the room without being announced. So you never
Oh,
know.
that's okay. Hey, we really appreciate you, Steve, taking your time to be with us tonight. We've got a great show for you guys, and we got some great things that Steve's going to be telling you guys about with the Vortex and what's going on with Garrett. It's going to be a fantastic show. And as always, we always love to start off this show with some shout outs to some of our regulars. And we've got 53 people in here just ready to jump in and ask some questions and get some information about the new Garrett Vortex. And I know Steve's chomping at the bit to tell everyone about the Garrett Vortex, and we're excited about the news that Steve is going to say because a lot of us have been hearing stories about the Vortex. We're ready to see this machine, and we know that it's coming soon. And maybe Steve will give us a little insight to that too. So we're really excited about that. So let's give a couple of shout outs real quick. 5280 is on here. Glad to have 5280. Mr. Danny N is in the house with us tonight. As always, Mr. Diggin Daryl. Love having Diggin Daryl in here. Mr. Keegan is in here with us. Glad to have Keegan. Gary the Goose, Gary N is in the house with us. Mr. Damian Thorne. Super excited to have Damian. Mr. Chris is in the house. He says, hello, Steve. And we've got Mr. Old Pelon in the house with us. Mr. Ricky Bennett here with us tonight, trying to get some of that Garrett information. Miss Bells is always here with us. Love having Bells in here. Bells is a great supporter of the channel. Appreciate you, Bells, so much. Mr. Ohio Fred. Fred, always great supporter of the channel. Always leaving comments, loving what he sees over here, and we appreciate Ohio Fred. Mr. Kevin Wood in here with us. Dirt Devil Detecting, always a great supporter of the channel. Appreciate him being in here with us tonight. Mr. Sniff It Out is in here with us. There he is, Mr. Greeny Meanie, and he is excited about hearing about this Garrett Vortex. He was chomping at the bit about this Vortex last week, Steve, so he's ready and ready to hear some news about that Vortex. Steve Dorothy, I believe is how you say it. Maybe. Steve, glad to have you in here with us tonight. Mr. Detecting 307, glad to have him in here. Metal Detecting Northwestern Wisconsin, glad to have him in here with us. Mr. Richard Pelkey is in here. Glad to have Richard. There's our main hunting partner, Mr. Surfside Dan, all the way from beautiful Surfside, South Carolina, down here on the coast of South Carolina. Glad to have Dan. Mr. Corey Pope. Mr. Scott Dahl is in here. Appreciate Scott. Always Lance McElwain. Love having Lance with us tonight. Stack Silver is in the house. He says he's made it to the Friday Live. They look forward to these Fridays all the time, just being on here and having some good metal detecting talk. And we appreciate Stack Silver. Wilton 925 is on here with us. Mr. Edward G is looking forward to hearing everything that we're going to say tonight and some additional goodies to the Vortex. So we'll see what happens there. Mr. Rollins 9mm is in here with us. Mr. Mark Trailer, he says, good evening, everyone. Relics and Rings is in here all the way from way out west, Steve. So we're glad to have him. Mr. Patrick Parker, glad to have Patrick. Patrick's also a great supporter of the channel. Northwest Outdoors, glad to have him in here with us tonight. There's a man, Mr. Matt Johnson, Metal Detecting Texas. Glad to have Matt. Matt hunts the beach too, Steve. So he's there in Texas.
All right.
That beach. Workman's Adventure is in here. Glad to have him. Digging Dudes in here. Glad to have him with us tonight. Detecting and Dig. Hey, y'all, he says, glad to have him in here with us. MD4 Catch is in the house with us. Glad to have him with us tonight as well. Detecting 307, he says, hey, Steve, glad to have him.
Hey.
And Mr. Rito Marcella is coming to us from Ireland, Steve. So we're
Wow.
a big audience in here with
He's
us.
either up real late or up real early.
Yeah, he's always here, though. He is so loyal, and we appreciate Rito so
Like
much.
after midnight over there.
Double G Diggs is in here. Glad to have Double G Diggs. I've hunted with Double G Diggs. Great guy. Super, super nice guy for sure. Connor's Relics and Treasures is in here. Steve Dorfy is in here with us. IB Me is in here with us tonight. Mr. Bobby Short is here with us. Johnny Rum is in the house. So, Johnny Rum, do you like rum? That's the real question. So glad to have Johnny in here with us. Johnny, also a great supporter of the channel. Metal Detecting with the CZ Kid, always a great supporter as well. Dan Ortiz, we're getting through, but we got a lot. We got almost 70 people in here, Steve. They really want to hear from you tonight.
Good deal, coast to coast.
Don't tread on me. Metal Detecting, love having him with us tonight. Pete ST, I'm just going to say ST. Glad to have Pete. Jean Diggs History from South Carolina is here with us. Glad to have her with us. DCM Detects, also from South Carolina. Glad to have DCM. Digging on History is here with us. Appreciate him being here. And Mr. Greg Dudley. I think I've gotten everybody. Oh, wait a minute. Mr. James Bazell got in at the last minute.
Still sneaking in.
Oh, yeah. We got 72 in here, Steve. They really want to hear what you guys are going to be sharing tonight. And we appreciate you taking the time to be on here with us and tell us a little bit about the Vortex. Tell us a little bit about Garrett and what you guys have got going on. But before Steve does his little talk, let's watch the latest video from Garrett. And we're going to throw that up on the screen for you guys. And then we're going to bring Mr. Steve back, and we're going to hear live from Mr. Steve Moore from Garrett Metal Detectors. So we're going to add this, and here we go.
We know a lot of you are getting excited about the Vortex Detector series. There's been a lot of excited talk about the new MDMF technology and the unique target ID scales on the VX9. But there's also been some talk on what the Vortex is and how the upgrade path works. First off, despite some rumors, the Vortex is not simply a waterproof apex. The Vortex is completely new detection technology built on a different mechanical platform. Yes, it is easy for beginners who are getting started in the sport, but the Vortex series also includes advanced features for professional users, and you can add more versatile features and power as you step up the line. Some have asked what the difference is between Vortex updates and upgrades. To dispel one of the rumors I've heard, Garrett is not charging for updates. As new settings or improvements are made available, users will have the option to do a free update to their VX5, VX7, or VX9. Here's a sample of how that will look when you plug in your Vortex to do an update. All of this will go live fairly soon, and a Vortex user can see the free update option and also the paid upgrade options, where you can literally transform your current Vortex model to the next highest model in the series. Purchase the model you can afford. If you want to move up the ladder to the flagship VX9 model, you have that choice without having to purchase an entire new detector. Vortex is a powerful series, and we've even added a setting or two since it was first introduced. Garrett is putting the final polish on the detector the next couple of weeks, and then we'll begin production later this month. Even if you're one of the first to hit the field with the Vortex, don't be surprised if Garrett announces more updates and improvements. Embrace the power of the Vortex.
Okay, well, there we go, guys. So that was the latest video that you guys put out, right, Steve?
Yeah, we just did that here recently. So we just want to keep the customers up to speed on what's going on. Obviously, we're slowing it back just a little bit. We're making a few little final touches to it, but we can talk about the detectors in general, talk about the technology, talk about relic hunting, coin hunting. We can kind of go any which way you guys want to. It's your show, and by the way, I'm happy to be here. Good to do a show with you guys, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll do it again down the
Oh,
road.
yeah.
Yeah, we would
Oh,
love
yeah.
to have you on anytime. You're more than welcome to come on here anytime, Steve. If you got something you want to get out there, I know our audience is the audience that wants to hear from Garrett and hear what's going on, and we would love to have you on anytime that you are willing and ready and able. We got 85 in here right now, Steve, so they're really chomping at the bit to hear what you're going to say. So there are a lot of people in here, and I'm just a couple of other people that got in here. DCM Detects, Detecting and Dig. Teshridge Digger says he's a little late, but we're glad to have him in here, and we appreciate that. So, Steve, without any further ado, let's talk a little bit about the Vortex. So, tell us how the Vortex sort of evolved and what really sort of happened to bring about this new machine from Garrett. Can you go into detail with that?
Yeah, obviously we kind of spent a little time over the past couple of years really working on the gold market, with the GM 24K and with our new pulse machine, the Axiom, and those are powerful. I had fun
Yeah,
using those, going to Australia, finding nuggets, and really refining and improving that. But the bulk of folks in America, there's pockets of prospectors. You've got some out in the West. You got
right.
places in North Carolina even where you could find some gold, but
Right.
by and large, our folks here are coin and relic hunters,
That's
and that,
exactly right.
that's my heart. And when I get the chance every once in a while to go prospect, I love it. But I'm out there looking for Civil War, looking for Texas history, working home sites, working on old farms, and I'm excited to have a new machine with new technology that really checks those boxes.
Right.
Something that's
Right.
versatile. And we looked at it. I mean, we're due for a flagship machine, a high-end machine. And this is a range that's lower. This is not the flagship Garrett of the future. This is something, four to $500 to $600 price point that checks a lot of boxes for land, for field, for woods, for water, coins, relics, and even a little touch of a higher frequency where I know people that have found nuggets with Ace 250s. So you could
Right.
definitely find certain nuggets in certain places with this machine, but it's the
Right.
versatility. And we kind of looked at the marketplace. I mean, here in the States and in most countries, where I know people, it's tough. The economy's gotten tough. Price of food, milk, gasoline, everything's gone up.
Right.
We're not getting paid twice what we got paid last year, but
Exactly.
our bills are twice what they used to be. I know that much for a fact.
That's true. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So we wanted something kind of Apex AT kind of range that's bigger and better, more versatile, that's still somewhat affordable for average folks. I mean,
Right.
yeah, you can still go get an Ace or something cheaper, but something that's got some teeth to it. And in this case, we came up with the idea to patent the idea of making it upgradable. Now, as I mentioned in that little video you ran, we can do an update. You put out a
Right.
fix or you put out a couple features here and there that's free. You
Right.
download that, that's for free. You make your machine improved. My field testers have been updating for a while now. Got a new patch, they send it to them, they update it, no charge, no problem. But with this, you can come in if your budget's limited or if you're kind of a beginner and start, at the 450 price point and get in with a really good, solid, waterproof, submersible detector that's very
Right.
versatile. And then if you get better or you decide you made a mistake, I wish I would have bought more, you don't have to go sell that detector and eBay it or sell it to a buddy and go buy a complete brand new one. You've
Right.
got the hardware. You have to put more brains in that hardware, and it's the cost difference between the models to upgrade. That's the paid portion of it, aside from the free portion. So we felt that was unique, that was different. That's something that might help people in today's economy. And some people say, well, why didn't you put everything on the lower end? It's the same with an Ace 150, 250, 350 from years
Right.
ago.
Right.
You start with something that's good enough to get you going, that's solid, and if you want to, you can stick with that. And I could still find the vast majority of the same targets with that VX5 is a VX9, but as I step into a 7 and into a 9, you get more frequencies, you get more modes, you get more adjustments, you get more features. So someone that's got a little more skill set, a little more knowledge, they're going to benefit from some of that. The
Right.
average guy that goes out and hits the park once every 6 months and digs some coins, there's a lot of machines that do very well with that.
Exactly, exactly. So, Steve, I know I've seen a couple of videos, and and of course, most of the guys on here know that I try to stay up to date and on top of everything that's going on in the metal detecting world. But um, one thing that I really like that I heard from you was that they really weren't sacrificing a lot with the VX5 versus the VX9 as far as recovery and how your recovery speed was really fast with the VX5 versus the VX9. I know you got more levels of recovery in the VX9, but
Right.
I'm a relic hunter. I hunt in iron. I like knowing that I've got that little bit of extra recovery speed in some of those thick iron patches that we hunt in. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that recovery speed and how you think that's going to benefit the user out there?
Yeah, like you touched on for iron, infestations like that, or places where you're not going for super depth, but just to separate the targets, you've got to have good separation speed to identify multiple targets. And even at the base entry level with the VX5, this machine is faster than AT Pro or Apex or most of our other machines just out the gate in
Yeah,
what we would call the fixed fast reactivity speed.
sure.
But as you step up to a VX7 or a VX9, you can incrementally speed it up even more and go even deeper with that. So you're
Right.
going to have better ability
Right.
to separate the adjacent targets. Um, it's just like putting in maximum discrimination on a detector. It
Right.
comes with a little caveat, a little cost with that. The
Right.
faster you run a machine and the faster you're swinging that machine, it's going to have some effect on your detection depth.
Right.
So it's a
Exactly.
trade-off. I get
Yeah.
in the open field, I'm going to keep it in the base speed and slow her down a little bit and get maximum detection depth. But there's places where you just simply can't do that. Like, here in Dallas, we hunt some scrape lots. It's littered with trash where the bulldozers come through and knock that house down. So you got to pick the goodies out of the bad stuff. So
Yeah.
it's important to have that. And you actually have a fast mode that comes in
Right.
on the VX9. So for me, that's really cool for competition hunts. I've been to plenty of those where these people are moving lightning fast, just racing through the field. And the faster you can pull those tokens and those coins out of the ground and get to the next one, the better. So you can't be having just average swing speed, or you're not going to collect as much stuff. So
Right.
Right.
there's places for using stuff and places maybe not as smart to use certain stuff.
And I noticed too that you did like a small coin mode. Tell us a little bit about that and how that actually works.
Is that kind of geared towards the hammered coins or just
Yeah, it's more of a hammered coin or a fine coin mode, if you will. So
gotcha.
people in Europe or England can really benefit from that. I like hearing the iron, so I liked with the Apex that we put the iron volume in there, so I can suppress it, but I can still hear it a little bit. Because a lot of times you get out in these massive, massive fields, hundreds of acres, and you got to cover a lot of ground, and you don't want to go this speed all day long. You got to cover some ground, so you want to hear the iron and hear the garbage to slow it down and then start picking through it. But with these kind of coins, they're low conductivity, really, really thin hammered. You look at a mercury
Mhm.
dime, that
Right.
joker's 2 or 3 or 4 times thicker than a small hammered silver.
Exactly. It's just like a Spanish real, like a half real. Some of those reals are so thin, and I
Right.
Yep.
don't think people realize that. When you go over to Europe, those hammered coins are even thinner than a real in some cases. And
They are. I mean, I've dug, a handful of reals digging with my buddy Dan and some other folks out up in the Northeast. And if you get a cut quarter real, I mean, it's a small target. It's not a big banging signal like a belt plate or something, but it's a pretty strong hit because it's a thick cut piece, but it's a tiny piece.
right,
Whereas a
exactly.
lot of the hammered ones are they're almost paper thin, like a piece of aluminum foil or something, and they'll ring up in the 40s, low 50s. Sometimes they could even creep down to 38, 39, and
Right.
on one of the traditional Garrett target ID ranges. So the point of that mode is to highlight these thin, fine coins like hammered coins or a small gold coin. And my
Right.
friend Miguel went with us to England last year, and he got a hammered. But I told him, I was like, dude, you got one of the bigger ones out there. It rang
Yeah.
way up in the 70s, a big, huge, thin silver coin. But like
Right. Right.
those little baby ones, they're not going to read up there in the 70s. So
Yeah.
this mode kind of highlights a range of targets and gives you suppressed response on super high end and super low end targets.
Right.
I've tried it. You know, you'll still hear a half dollar or a silver dime or something. You're going to hear it. It's not gone,
Right.
but it's going to focus on stuff where you're really trying to sniff out some other types of goodies, which could be jewelry. You know, a lot of
Right.
the jewelry is going to fall in that high 40s, 50s, 60 range like that. So
Right.
it's a select setting, but yeah, to answer your question, Michael, a lot of it will benefit some of the Europeans and the Brits over there. We've
Right.
done testing on it, and it worked pretty well. We got lucky. We got in a good field when we did some of the testing. The
Sure.
machine's really good. It was hot, getting good depth, but we happened to have some gold coins in that field, and two of our guys sniffed
Yeah.
them out on that trip.
I've seen some of those gold coins, and I was going like, okay, all right, I hear you. So that was good.
And one of
Um,
the guys, he's been digging for a long time. He's about my age. He's a distributor, and that was his first. And he lives in England. Believe it or not, he goes, "I've dug so much stuff, but that's my first gold coin." And
that's
people are like,
right.
"Oh, y'all set it up." Everybody comes out and they find something right out the bat. But our goal was to go to an old place where the potential was there, and we worked it, and we found a couple. And I
Well,
found some
that's
silver and some other stuff, but it's legit finds. You know, we didn't put them in the ground. We didn't set that stuff up. So
right. Well, and we know that. So tell us a little bit about some of the, I know you said there were going to be a couple of additions to it. Can you elaborate any more on the additions that might have been added to the Vortex, Steve?
yeah, we decided to slow it down just a little bit more on getting it out because there's some things we wanted to tinker with a little bit further, enhance a little bit more, and I'd rather get it, you know, closer to being the finished product as good as it can be out the gate
Right.
on day one versus
Sure.
expecting the majority of the customers to have to do an update right out the gate. So we are doing a few more tests, doing a few more things and adding a few things, but we've opened the door by dropping in, a few more settings in there where you could have a little more adjustability with iron settings
Okay.
and
Very good.
open the door for being able to toggle some tones as you get up in there.
Okay.
And when we finally ship, it may or may not have everything in play we're going to do, but
Right.
this has always been intended as a patented updatable, upgradable series that
Right.
one, you can step up and get a better detector, but you can also continue to update as improvements are made.
Right. And
And
I
there's
like
always
the
been a couple
idea.
things I'm sorry, a couple things we thought about doing later. So go ahead.
I like the idea that you said the updates are free. I mean, so if you do an upgrade to the VX9, then that update is going to be free as far as what goes on with the VX9 or the VX7 or the VX5, correct?
Yes, exactly. When you log in, when it's all set up and on the platform, once we start shipping, if you have a VX5, you set up an account, put your login in, you come in, it says, "Hey, Steve, plug in your machine." And it looks at it and says, "Hey, you've got the VX5." And either says, "You're good," or, "Hey, Steve, looks like you've got an update or two in there. Would you like to make those?" And I can make those updates. That's under the free column.
Right.
And at any time, today, tomorrow, 2 years down the road, I could look over there in the other column and go, "Hey, it's $65 or $85, whatever the cost is to jump up once or to jump up twice and upgrade." So it's
Sure.
kind of like taking an Ace 300, making it a 400, or taking an
Right.
AT Pro and making it AT Max. I heard a couple of critics say, "Oh, well, you're just charging them to get these extra bells and whistles." It's no different than anybody putting out a series of two or three machines, and some have less features than the others.
That's
But
right.
the difference is you don't have to feel punished later going, "I made a mistake. I wish I would have
I
bought
wish I
the
would have got that
9.
machine. Right. I
Yeah,
wish I would have got that with those extra features on it.
I want that salt mode, or I want
Right.
the 25 kilohertz, or whatever it might be." You can step up. without
Right.
paying the full price of selling your machine and buying a new one. So we thought that was unique. Everybody's got opinions. It is what it
Mhm.
is. And will we ship out the door with 100% of every feature that every person out there wants to have on this machine? Probably not, because like I said, we were trying to hit that $400 to $600 window, U.S. street price of what people can afford these days to get a really solid machine. But
Right.
the door is cracked open for us to do things as we choose going forward. So
Right.
I think that's the beauty of it.
It is. It is, Steve. And again, I appreciate you coming out here and explaining some of this stuff, because there's a lot of people out there that have been waiting to hear what you just said and to understand, hey, this machine's updatable. This machine can do more things than what people think. And a lot of people jump to assumptions right out of the gate. And it's so good to hear you saying some of these things, and people getting a better understanding of what the Vortex is going to be capable of. So there's a couple of questions I've just been sort of reading through the chat as it's flashing up. So some people are wondering, is there going to be another model? And I know you can't really sort of go into a lot of it, but
Like a
there's,
flagship
yeah,
model
like
you're
a
talking about. Yeah.
another flagship model machine that Garrett might be working on. We're not asking you to say when or how or what's going to be in it. We just want to know if there's going to be maybe something else that might come.
Yeah, and I've heard a few critiques out there like, oh, if this is their flagship, why didn't it have blah 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 blah? It's
Exactly.
not a $1,400 machine. It's not a
No, it's
$1,000
not.
machine. We're talking
Mhm.
$599 for the top end, the flagship of the Vortex series, to clarify that. So could we possibly add another Vortex later? The door's open on that. And there's a point though with how you design it and what's in there electronically, where there's certain things we could do that may not fly with this particular series, with this
Right.
design.
Exactly.
Coils have limits on what they take, and there's other limits in there. The LCD screen is the size it is.
Right.
It's not full color. That's limited. That's locked in. If there's things you want to change like that, it's going to mean another series, another round of detectors. So this is not intended to be the final flagship forever on Garrett. This is a really strong, really powerful, middle of the road series that is going to offer more features than some of the ones we've had for a number of years now that are super popular. I mean, I'm a
Right.
huge fan of our Pro and Max. I've found so many cool things, gold coin to old silver coins, 2,000 years old, you name it. But
Sure.
I know with this machine, I've got more raw power and more controls. So the doors are open for me to find more in the field, in the woods, and in the lake. So I'm ready
Right.
for all that.
Right.
Another question I saw, have you, thought about, an all tones mode? I know Relics and Rings asked that earlier, like a scale with you know, the
Uh,
tones coming in
Like a
at the
single
different
tone or like
boogies,
unlimited numbers of tones?
unlimited numbers.
Like I said, the door's open on that. I think we're going to put a control in where the function is there. It may not have as many tones on day one as people want, but we'll have the option to add to that down the road. It
Right.
We're stretching it out more than a few people would like to do a few things to it, and we understand that might, cause some heartache with some folks, and I apologize for that. But to put a few things in place to keep that door propped open, I like that. But at some point, we are going to draw a line in the sand and go, hey, in a matter of weeks here, we need to close the door, call this software complete for today, and start producing the machines, start shipping them out the door, and
Right.
then move
Right.
the next round of things to an update in the fall or whatever month it happens to fall.
Right.
So we will draw the line here before too long. I don't have the exact date, but I think we'll spend 2 or 3 more weeks fine tuning and tweaking a few things, and then say, okay, let's
That's
stop.
it.
Let's
Yeah.
roll with it. And we hope that people will appreciate that. And in the end, a year from now, you'll look at this thing and go, that's a darn good machine. Did I have to wait another few weeks on day one to get it? Yeah, I get that. But it is what it is. I think in the end, it's going to make a better detector for a lot of people.
Well, the thing is, though, Steve, like you said, you listen to what people, I mean, you listen to what was being said out there too, I'm sure. and you tried to make it even better than what you showed in the beginning. And to you guys, I commend you guys for that, for actually taking that initiative to try to improve it, make it even better than what you had originally started off with. And I'm going to say this too: all machines, whether it be a MindLab product, a Nocta product, an XP product, whatever it may be, all these machines go through transformations from the beginning, and they add things and update things as they go. Garrett's no different. I mean, they're trying to do the things that they think that people want, and that are going to hit the demographic or the market that they're going after. And kudos to you guys, because I think that's what you got to do. And again, like you said earlier, the economy right now, it's not the best in the world. We're having to pay a lot more for groceries, gas, and so on. And to come out with a mid-tier, what I would consider a mid-tier machine in a market that the economy is a little bit tough right now, that's to me, that was the exact thing that you needed to do at this point.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. And like you said, it's a solid mid-tier machine, but it's going to outperform things we've had in the past.
Right.
Good and bad to some people, but times change. Years go by. It's time to move up. There's a lot of choice out there, and there are good detectors that find
Right.
good stuff. We've
Right.
brought some unique features to this machine, and if every last one of your boxes didn't get checked, hang tight. Maybe it's in the future on this one. Maybe
Yeah.
it's the next series of
Yeah, maybe
detectors we do. You
right.
know,
Yeah,
uh,
just hang tight, because I promise you, Garrett is not backing down. They're not going to say we're done. I mean, that's not how you guys operate. And anytime that you release something, if you go all the way back, and if you go back to the AT Pro, or you go back to the A series, or the Apex series, you're going to keep on trying to improve on it. And I think if you look at any of those machines, you'll see that there's been improvements and modifications and things that have been made. So, and again, like I said, I just went through the whole process of buying a truck, and I had a Toyota Tacoma for 22 years, Steve. 22
wow.
years. Yeah. Solid truck. Solid truck. And so I started looking around, and Michael down here was trying to convince me to buy a Ford, and there were some people saying, well, you need to buy a Chevrolet. You need to buy this. But when it all boiled down to it, what did I come back to? Michael, what did I come back to?
Well, you were wanting a full-size truck. That's why I told you I would get a Ford. But I told you, what did I tell you if I was getting a mid-size truck? I would get a Toyota.
I came back to where I started. I came back
Very
to a
good.
Toyota. And I would equate that analogy to the same way with metal detectors.
Right.
Garrett has made a solid machine in the past. It's proven. Why would you not go back to a solid machine? That's the way I look at it. And, the Vortex, you've got a proven track record. The AT Pro was a massive success. I used an AT Pro. Michael, you used an AT Pro, correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
I mean, that was one of the best, to me, one of the best selling machines of all time. We also know, if you go look at statistics, the Ace 250 was probably the best selling metal detector, or the number one selling metal detector of all time.
Yeah, and even our competitor, Mr. White, gave Charles Garrett some grief years ago. He's like, Charles, what are you doing selling that much stuff at that price? And the
Right.
$200 and something price point range, that was kind of groundbreaking, kind of like AT Pro was at, the $600 price range when it came out, being submersible and having all of it had.
Right.
You got a lot of choice out there, but with Mr. Garrett, when I first started there, that was what he said was like, "You like being outdoors and traveling?" I said, "Sure."
Sure.
He goes, "Are
Yeah.
you good if I send you up to Idaho and you go hit some of these places where they prospect and go to these old miners' cabins and just talk to the people and learn?" I'm like, "Yes, sir. I'm good with that. I'm okay with being outdoors and hiking through the woods and talking to people." And at the big hunts and the rallies, DIV or whatever the fall Kadoha, Treasure Fest, all the different
Right.
ones, there's people using all different brands. but I talk to them. I don't criticize them. Some criticize me, whatever. I don't worry. I don't go home and cry about it. But
Right.
sometimes they'll come back and go, you know what? I got your pin pointer and that darn thing is solid. Or I tried an AT Max and man, I was impressed with that. And I
Right.
think with Vortex, it'll be that way with some people. They want to look at it, and go, oh, it's blue or whatever. I love blue. I don't care. It doesn't bother
Yeah.
me. It's a
It
water
doesn't
machine.
bother me either.
We've
I mean,
had yellow machines
yeah,
forever. Guess
I
what? We
know.
sold a
That's
bunch
what
of
I
yellow
was
machines that found a lot of
saying.
treasure.
That's
Uh,
exactly right.
there's
That's
other
Yeah.
exactly
colors
right.
out there. To each his own. If you can't handle it, okay, fine. But hang out for a while, listen to it, see what people start finding with the Vortex, and then come to a rally, check it out, go through one of our test gardens. We'll have some in England here in a month or two. We'll have some here in the States in the fall. Come
Right.
check it out. Make your own decision versus listen to some, person online that tells you why it's the worst thing ever.
Right.
You may be surprised. You
You
may
may
be
be
surprised how
surprised.
things work.
You would
Right.
be
Right.
surprised. I know. So Johnny Rome's got a good question, Steve. What's the warranty on the Vortex?
The same as our other pin pointers and detectors. We now do 3-year warranties. We were
Okay.
2 years and 1 year on Sea Hunters years ago. We're across the board, 3 years. Send it back, talk to Rusty, Maureen, Liz, Mary, anybody in customer service. They'll get you squared away, get you taken care of. If it's
Okay.
out of warranty, they'll get it in, give you a estimate on it and fix it as cheap as humanly possible and get it back to you. But 3 years, we got you covered.
Right. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Digging Darrell wants to know, is the Garrett Vortex 100% American made?
Yes, everything's made here in the Dallas plant, in Texas. There may be a few parts that are brought in, but based on the definition of American made, American assembled, American designed, everything is American made here. Just like with anybody else, there's a chip or a piece or this or that you may get elsewhere, but American made for sure. Nothing's
Okay.
being made in Malaysia. Nothing's being made in Taiwan.
Very
We're not
good.
shipping boxes out of a plant in China. We have great people in China that buy Garretts, but we don't make the Garretts there. We make them in Texas, in Garland. Ask Jace Robertson, ask somebody that's been to our plant and walked through it.
Right.
He's seen us back there building those things and shipping them out. And
Very good.
Right.
we're going to be busy real soon shipping out a
Yeah.
whole bunch of these
I
blue
bet.
things.
I bet. Well, there's
That's
a lot of
good.
people on here that are really strongly considering buying a Vortex. So that's why they're here tonight. We got 93 people in here, Steve, that are
Awesome.
extremely excited. Greeny Meanie says he's ready for a GTI 2500 replacement.
I found some really cool stuff with that. One of the first Civil War sites I hunted was with the GTI 2500,
Yeah.
and a guy let us camp on this property in Kentucky, and I'm hunting it, and I love the sizing, the imaging on that, because you could see about the signature of the mini ball. And
Right.
once I dug a few of those, I'm like, oh, this thing right here, that's got to be another one. And we went, had dinner, hanging out by the fire, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and Dave's like, hey man, you want to keep digging? Those things got backlights. I'm like, heck yeah, let's go, man, let's go. Well, we didn't go to bed till like 2 in the morning that night. We're up on this hillside digging mini balls and buttons and stuff. I was in hog heaven. Like we're just on this old man's farm, sleeping on the farm, digging Civil War relics, and nobody else around for miles. And the GTI was killing it, tearing it up out there.
Well,
I'd love to go back there with a Vortex tomorrow, but that was a long time ago, years ago.
What is your best Civil War find? Speaking of that, Steve.
I've got a powder flask, which I thought was really cool. I've got some canister shot, cannonball. I've only found one breastplate so far, U.S. plate. I'm trying to think my best one. Just some of the personal stuff. I've found
Right.
some really cool carved bullets, like into chest
Oh yeah.
pieces and things like that. I kind of like the personal aspect of that.
I do
So
too.
which one's the most valuable to me? I don't worry about a value. I don't sell anything like that. But
Right.
some of the ones where some dude was sitting there in 1864 around a campfire, messing with that, making a fishing sinker out of a mini ball or making a chest piece out of it.
right.
That's pretty cool to me.
Oh
It
yeah.
is. Yeah.
I've got a couple
Yeah.
of car bullets myself.
I do
Like
too. Yeah.
so those are always neat. Dan Ortiz has got a good question. He said, when the Vortex rolls out to dealerships, will Garrett distribute worldwide equally or focus on overseas markets over the U.S.? And I think I know what your answer is going to be to that, but go ahead. You can answer that.
Yeah, I think even with previous launches, Apex and things like that, when they come out, it's a little bit of a tug of war because this guy puts in this many orders, this guy puts in this many, and somebody back in our production and sales management has to play overseer on. We have to break it up. This guy gets this many, this guy gets this many. They'll try to be fair. They'll try to distribute to different people and not say, "Oh, we're going to ship all to Australia first, and then to
Right.
England, then to
That's
France, and last is going to be America." Uh, it'll be a mix spread there, and one distributor's got X number of orders. Will they get all of them week one? No, probably not.
yeah,
Just like when you got any backlog like that, it'll take a little bit to push them through and
sure,
get them out. But you know, for those who wait, good stuff comes. So we will do
sure.
the best we can as quick as we can.
Sure. Relics and Rings, who hunts out west, he's got an Axiom, by the way. He loves his Axiom, and he's told me that personally. He said, I'd like to see the VX9 have at least the option of 3 or 5 tones, not just be locked in 5 tones, which I think you've already addressed that there could be a
Right.
possibility of more tones later on down the road. So, just,
Maybe it will. Maybe we'll have to see. Maybe he'll have the option to toggle there, and maybe
yeah,
later there'll be another toggle. So
there you go. I like it. I like it.
no, no,
Uh,
but we appreciate the comments. Like Charles taught me years ago, is like go out and listen to folks, talk to them. You can't promise everything they want, but see what they want, see what they don't like, see what makes them tick. Why do they do what they do? And I go out to Pontiac, I have as much fun as the rest of them. I'll
right.
spend time working the test lanes and teaching you the
Sure.
machine and answering your question, helping kids learn. Love helping kids detect. That's a
Mm.
blast. Each of my 3 kids, I've taken them detecting at different times. They haven't necessarily stuck with it as they've gotten older, and one of them's got kids and all that. But it's fun for the young generation to bring them up because if we don't get them hooked, it's going to be a bunch of old folks like us before long out there doing this
That's
stuff.
right.
Sorry, y'all aren't old. I'm old. Y'all aren't.
Well, look, I'm old now, Steve. I'm in my 50s, so I'm getting on up there. But Detective 307 has a great comment. He says, I'm not a very patient person, as my wife tells me, but if I need to wait a little bit more for my pre-order VX9 to be the best it can be, then I will wait. It will be worth it. I only buy Garrett. Again, and I realize that, and I've said this 100 times, there are so many loyal users to Garrett that are going to buy Garrett, just like we just talked about with the truck situation. I mean, I had a Toyota for 22 years. Why wouldn't I buy another Toyota? And
Yeah.
and this guy's sort of reaffirming that. Why wouldn't I buy another Garrett? I like
Mhm.
Garrett products, and that's your demographic. I mean, those people realize that, hey, you make a solid product. I want to be able to use that, and I'll wait regardless. So
And
that
that's important is to be solidly made. The quality is backed up. If there's a problem, send it to us. We fix it and all that. And that's been there. I mean, the first time I tried a metal detector, and I wasn't a detectorist, but it was in the
sure,
80s, and I played around with one. Come to find out, it was a Garrett. It was one of the
right,
green Garretts, and one of my cousins had it, and I used it, tried it, thought it was kind of cool, but I don't know, chasing girls or doing something different. I didn't stick with that hobby at that
same
time.
here.
But when I come back later, that same machine, 20 something years later, cousin brought it back in. It was still working and he wanted to trade it in to get something better. So I did a trade with him and all that. I'm like, that's the first one I ever used. That's cool that it's still working to this day. And that's the important thing. You know, uh, Fall's coming up. Everybody wants to get out there and do their stuff. It's a little bit
Right,
hot right now. Me and Rusty and Miguel are probably going to hit the lake one day next week, do some more vortex water testing,
right.
tweak a few little features. It's going to be close to 100 here in Texas. I'm sure it's hot there.
It's hot here
Yeah.
too. The humidity is
Yeah.
just so bad here in South Carolina
Right.
and
So
North Carolina.
I like the lakes in the summer. In different times of the year, I like to do a beach trip with the family, and they go to bed, or I get up at 5 in the morning, or I go out at 10 o'clock at night when nobody's around. And
Right.
it's I like the peace, the solitude of searching, nobody bothering you.
I do
Spend
too.
as many hours as you want. They can go sleep. I'm going to go find a necklace or a ring or
Yeah.
something if
Yeah.
I'm lucky. But it done the relic. I don't do as much relic hunting in this time of year, to be honest, because my
Right.
daughter got bit in the face by some kind of brown recluse or something, 4th of July, and I tell you what, and I've been bit by one before, those will mess you up, so I'm
Oh
a little
yeah.
skittish.
Yeah.
I'll stay out of the thick
Yeah.
woods in the summer because we got some bad stuff here in Texas
Right.
that'll get you.
Oh yeah.
Well, I had a tick scare because I thought I might have Lyme's disease, and of course, but But that didn't stop me, though, did it, Michael? I still kept going out there relic hunting. So I've been relic hunting during the summer, but I can only go for about 3 or 4 hours before I have to say, I got to stop.
I've done it in other states. We did one when we did the Scout Jamboree up there a few years back up in the Kentucky area, dead of summer, and we had an off day. So we went out with some old guys, took us relic hunting down these creeks and through the forest. And
that's
it was 100+ degrees to the point where some people were physically ill later that day from like near heat strokes. But
no, I don't like that at all.
We found stuff, but you got to be pretty diehard to do a lot of relic hunting in the forest this time of year, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Greeny Meany's got a great question for you, Steve. And I think a lot of people have asked this too. So have y'all implemented some of the whites technology that was recently brought into Garrett? Is that part of what's going on with the Vortex? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's as much of the whites technology in the Vortex. We did, put that in the Goldmaster, the 24K that whites came out with first. We improved on that and put it back out for the 48K, the high frequency, single frequency gold hunters. But with the Vortex, it's unique. That's why a lot of times gone into the multi-frequency technology. It's not the same as Apex. It's different. And it's called multi-dimensional for several reasons. One, with the different display tiers that are shown on the different models, which is a conversation in itself. The fact that it's doing analytics on the soil, the conductive content, and the ferrous content of the targets, which can be displayed in 1, 2, or 3 different tiers of graphs on that graphical target ID. That's part of the multi-dimensional analysis, which you get even on a VX5. You're getting better target ID, better audio, and better depth, particularly as you move from moderate to calm soils to more mineralized soils. That's where VLF start to struggle, and that's where SMF or simultaneous multi-frequency has some advantage to really help push the depth, keep good target ID, keep good target audio, good target analysis. And with the 9 model, you've probably seen some of the little video pieces we've done.
Yeah, I sure
You can see the lower scale having common iron or simple iron, as you'd call it, more conductive stuff on the center scale, and then the tricky iron up there, which is bottle caps or washers. But some iron's tricky. It could be flat iron, it could be a plow head, could be an axe head. It's in this direction, it's one read. It's standing up, it's a different read. And from scanning a nail this way versus this way, you're going to get different target IDs, different content, different mass to analyze. So that's why it's important to have multi-target, multi-dimensional analysis going on.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Of course, when I looked at the screen, so I know like with some of the MindLab products, I know like the upper tier is like a certain type of iron, lower tier, lower ferrous limits, certain type of iron. Is the Garrett machine sort of based on that same type of premise though, correct? That the middle line or the middle bar is going to be the conductive target. The other line or the line above is going to be like nails, or is that going to be like big iron? Would big iron come up in the upper or the lower on that machine?
Yeah, good question. Like you said, the good conductors primarily are going to be in the center. That's going to be stuff ranging from small hammered coins to silver dollars on the far end, big stuff like that, buttons, jewelry, all that, more on the center scale. And if it's pure in content and not surrounded by a lot of iron trash, you're going to get more of a pure signal hitting on the center scale. If you're up against nails and junk, then you're going to have to look at it and analyze, just as to go around, check your speed and check everything else. One direction, it's going to be more obscured, more masked. Another direction or a different speed, you're going to get more of a target separation there, more of a signal. But the simple iron, if you will, we're a little bit different from one of the other brands. It's more the other way around. Ours analyzes it, puts it on the lower scale, like common tack or screw or some basic piece of iron that you hit, like most square nails, are probably going to read primarily on the lower scale.
On the lower scale. That's a great piece of information. And this is the first time that I've heard you actually explain that. So that's an awesome piece of information. Go ahead, Michael.
Stack Silver had a good question. He said maybe down the road, is there any plans to have like a package deal with maybe like wireless headphones, an extra coil, maybe a pin pointer in it? You know,
It's a possibility, and I think dealers can open the door to doing that, or we could do it too. The
right,
base model to get out the door, we're made in America, so we can't
right,
necessarily have his prices as low as some of those made overseas that are rushing to market with
Right.
as cheap as they can get it. Not necessarily all the best quality, but cheap. So we did opt to pull the headphones out, and it has an 1/8 inch jack on this. So if I need to save a couple bucks, I can literally go to the store, get a brand of headphones I like with an 1/8 inch jack and pop it in. We've got an inexpensive, easy stow set that's cheap. You can plug those in, good quality, volume control. You can go wireless. You can go with our MS3s, or if you want to go wireless or some other brand, you can, put in a Z-Link box, put that in, hook it up to another brand of headphones. So you've got options, but to keep the price at a base level, we opted not to throw a bunch of stuff in the box and bump it up another $100 or more to answer that question.
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've got a very international audience right now, Steve. So we got this gentleman coming to us live from Germany. He wants to know when it might arrive in Germany. So you might can address that.
Kind of speaks to the other question we answered a minute ago.
Yeah.
We're going to get shipments out, and we're going to try to be fair in the disbursement. So not every dealer is going to get as many as they want on day one. If it
Right.
we had the same thing with Apex. We had so
Sure.
many orders. We put them out as best we can and start filling the pipeline. And if this guy's got X number of orders, maybe some of the customers are happy on day one, and some of them have to wait another 2 or 3 weeks. But
Right.
we will push them out as quick as we can and build them as fast as we can. Once we
I
decide
know.
we're stopping, everybody can chatter all they want. I
Yeah.
wish it had this. I wish it had that. We're going to stop now and stop doing this, and we're
Right.
going to build
Gonna
the
build
fire out
them,
of it
get
and
them
start
out.
shipping those babies out. So
Very good.
Right.
We've got a gentleman coming to us live from Australia. He says great show and great info on
cheers,
the
mate.
machines. Yes, definitely. Heavy Metal Detectors Kentucky. Heavy Metal Detectors Kentucky says he appreciates Steve coming on the show and sharing his knowledge. He said, "Thank you, sir." So we appreciate it. And again, super
Thank you,
excited
Heavy
to have
Metal.
Steve
Happy to
on.
be here.
Oh, yeah. So Austin Bradley's got a good question. Will the Vortex have a backlight on the screen? If so, what color?
It's the basic color. It's not red or any fancy blue or green color or something like that. Just your basic backlight. As you go through your settings, it will illuminate while you're pushing the buttons and changing your settings, and it will power off if that's how you have it set. If you have it
Right.
set to be on, it will remain on. I mentioned I go to the beach every year, and I go out at night. I get away from the drunks and the fools. Once they stumble off the bed, I
Right.
come take all their jewelry that they lost on the
Yeah.
beach.
Yeah.
So
We do the same thing. I'm
I
near
got the
Myrtle
headlamp.
Beach, so I can definitely go out at night and check out after all the drunks go out and go try to go swim or do whatever they're going to do.
I've helped people find rings, and that's really uplifting. That's a good feeling. But more often than not, they stumble off. They don't know they've lost it, and you can almost always go find a ring at night where there's been a real big party group on the beach. So yeah, I use the backlight, and it will certainly have that for sure in there.
Right.
Right. Um, I know we're talking a lot about the Vortex. Tell us a little bit about the Axiom. I mean, I've got a lot of users that are a lot of followers and subscribers that really love the Axiom. Tell us the benefit of the Axiom. I mean, I know it's a pulse induction machine. Just can you talk a little bit about the Axiom and why you think it's one of the better pulse induction machines out there right now?
Yeah, it's a great machine. Love the shaft, the collapsibility of it. It's rechargeable. Potential's there for the upgrades and everything else too. If we throw another package into it later, we did most recently come out with the Axiom Lite version.
Right.
Stripped out, kind of like we talked about the headphones. We pulled out the headphones, the extra coils, all the extra stuff, and dropped the price quite a bit. Somewhere to the tune of $1,000 or so for some folks. But it still has the same full capabilities as the full blown Axiom option. But it will pick up. You think a grain of rice is small. You can pick
Right.
up gold nuggets far smaller than that because I've done it. I've been over there finding stuff multi inches deep that's so small that Pro Pointer will not pick it up.
Right.
I mean, as you prospectors know, you have your nugget scoops and spoons, and you swing them on the coil, and you have to have the closed coil, and you're looking for grains of sand, size gold almost on that.
Wow.
The
Right.
big pieces are easier enough to find. They'll shout like a beer can at you. But the small stuff where you really get into those old worked over patches or the tailing piles, you got to have the power. You got to have some precise ground balance ability, some good coil choices, some good features on there. So, and even the relic hunters. I mean, you guys that go up there to Virginia and places like that,
Right. Right. And
there's
Culpeper and
places where you
those
got to,
areas. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you got to put down any machine at a certain point and go to a pulse machine.
Right.
Right.
I've been to DIVs where I've dug with AT Pro, dug with AT Max, and you can hit the woods, you can hit the field, but as they get deeper, the target ID goes away. That's the soil. That's the effect of the soil
Yeah,
destroying
that
target ID.
mineralized soil. Yeah, that mineralized soil just eat up most machines, especially VLF
Right.
machines, especially.
Yeah.
And even the multi-frequency machines are going to struggle with that as well. So,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
we took the Axiom out there to one of the DIVs the year before, and we had a whole bunch of them around our truck. So come on out, test drive it, go hunt stuff, find anything. We'll have a drawing, give some prizes out to you guys later. And a
right,
lot of people that use other brands and all that checked it out. And we're like, dang man, I was digging some frags like super deep out in the
right,
field,
yeah,
and buttons. Miguel drug him and another guy dug a nice artillery shell each. A lot of shells came out of that hunt.
right,
And those rascals were deep. I mean, they were hitting them deep. But the
Right.
mini balls and all that were solid targets, way over a foot. You can get some super depth on those things out there, even in that severe soil. So it's a
sure.
solid machine for the relic hunters and for the gold hunters.
Right. Yeah. Well, and again, we've got a lot of viewers and subscribers on here right now that use that Axiom. Relics and Rings is one of them, and he's
Yeah.
found some very beautiful nuggets with that Axiom out west, and I know he's super excited to hear you on here tonight. Relics Expedition says this is great information, and Steve, great answers to some skeptical questions. Great job. He says cheers to everyone, and again.
I,
Appreciate Steve.
I appreciate
Bell's,
that, and we try to tell it straight up. I mean,
yeah,
if it didn't ship last week, I'm not going to tell you it shipped last week.
right.
We're updating, making some improvements, and for me, it's worth it. It's good. Will some people be mad or upset? I appreciate that. Yeah, some will, but
You're not going to make everybody happy, Steve, and we know that. And again, this machine, I think, is going to be right there with any machine, especially in its price point, especially. And like you said, I think you even said, hey, it might even exceed into some of the upper tier machines in some cases. He's not saying it's going to run with a 1,500 or a 17 or $1,800 machine, but he's saying that there are some instances where you may get some really superior performance out of the machine.
you're going to get some good analytics, and you're going to get some really good depth on this machine. I think you'll be surprised that it's going to hold its own with some machines that are, deemed to be superior. So let
Sure.
time tell. Let all the experts get out there and do their tests. And everybody loves to do air tests and their test gardens and film all that. But it's getting out in the real environment. Can it hang with what's out in those woods or what's in that field? And can you get
Exactly.
through this stuff and the
Well,
challenges? And I can tell you, it's done great for me so far.
Well, and one of the things that I try to do is, of course, I do air test, and I go out and I test it out in my backyard, and then I take it out and hunt with it, and then I
Right.
can really tell, hey, did that work? What I saw in that test garden, did that work? And if it didn't, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to try something else, and then I'll go take it back out to the field, and that's one of the things that I do. And like I was telling everybody there's sometimes I'm out there at night trying to figure out, hey, before I even go out on a hunt, what's going to be the best setup for this machine, and then I take it out and run it. Michael does the same thing. We test it out and sort of get an idea about what it might be capable of, and then we move forward with taking it out into the field. And before we even say anything, we make sure that it's doing what we think it's doing, and before we even say anything about it. And
Yeah,
that's
it's good to be prepared like that and do the testing. And when you know where you're going, if you're going to a place you've been, you
right.
know the soil, you know the environment, you've got that luxury. Where you don't know that, it's good to have the option to have the ground balance and some of the other settings where you can fiddle with it and make adjustments based on what you encounter. Because I don't
Exactly.
always know where I'm go what I'm going to run into in the woods or the field or the water, and you get that adjustability. And this one has it. It has a lot of adjustability.
Right.
Does it have every feature A to Z that the $1,000+ machine has? Not necessarily, but I think from my experience, it's got a lot of tricks in the bag to work with. And
Right.
and
Right.
Right.
And let like I said, let us take it out there and use it, and then we'll see what it does. And I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed with this
no,
machine
no, no,
at all.
they're gonna be shocked with it. And a lot
Yeah.
of folks don't twiddle with that many settings on a machine. They want to know from one of you guys, dude, how do you set it up? What's the best way
Right.
to run it? Because I want to go find some coins today in the
Right.
city or at this farm. Da 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 da. Do this, and they're gonna go find stuff.
Yeah. That's
Maybe you're
exactly
smart enough to go 2 inches deeper than them because you know how to do certain things, but a lot of folks don't necessarily want to care that much about it.
right. And I think back to it. There are people out there that are using an AT Pro right now. And I've seen
Yeah.
people that know that machine so well that they'll hunt right along with any other machine, any of these multi-frequency machines in some cases, just because they're so familiar with that machine. Now, I used to be a golfer too, and I've seen old men golfers beat my brains out because they knew their club, you
Oh yeah,
know, and I equate that to the same thing with metal detectors. You have people that really know a metal detector, and if they know it that well, they know how to hunt with that machine. They know what to listen for. They know where to look, how to swing. They know those types of things that are going to
Right.
make them successful. And that's one of the things we preach on here. Learn the machine, learn the detector, and use it to the best ability that you can. And it's going to pay off. You're going to find stuff with it, especially if you know the machine.
yeah. Charles Garrett used to say that in his books and in his lectures years ago. He was like, get a machine and spend at least 100 hours with it. And if you dig, 100 hours is a lot. That's more than you're going to do in 1 week. But dig all the targets, or at least you can't stand to dig that target anymore. Learn what it is. Learn what messes up a target. What makes a target pure. Learn the machine. And to your point, I've seen old timers with 40-year-old machines that can run laps around me or you, or
That's
have a
exactly
middle of the road super average machine of any brand and just kick your butt because they've used
right.
it for 20 something years.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's what,
Yeah.
and that's again, that's why I tell people learn this machine. Go out, watch a few videos, go use the machine, get used to the tones, read the instruction manual, learn the machine the best you can, watch a few videos, and then take it out and then start, implementing some of those things. And then you'll be surprised what will happen from there on in. So, Bells has got a question, Steve, and I know this question that you've answered it. I know I've seen on other live streams. Weight wise, I know it depends on the coil and what you've got on the machine. With the 11-inch coil, what are we looking at as far as weight wise?
Yeah, the base models ship out the door with the Raider coil, the 8.5 11-inch. So if you have the coil cover off, it's about 2.9 pounds. With the little plastic coil cover, the skid plate on there, it's right at 3 pounds.
Right,
If you put on a 5x8 or the 6x11, when we start shipping those, you're
right,
going to shave ounces off of that and take it back into the 2+ pounds range. For house sites and trash sites, I look forward to using some of the smaller coils, but
right,
the stock coil is optimal. Good depth. Still
right.
get great target separation. But if you guys are hunting like you're saying the ultra trashy iron infested
Sure.
areas like that, you're probably going to want a little bit smaller coil at some point, and it's going to be ultra lightweight feeling. So that part you'll appreciate. And talking to the learning curve, I still learn. I mean, years back when I started learning how to find hammered coins overseas, I moved too fast. I covered too much ground and all this. And I learned you got to slow way down, find those bad pockets, and just start creeping through it like you're doing a house site. And those little hammer coins are terrible signals. They're not, like an 80s, Merc dime or something. They're
Right.
sometimes not even nickel range. They could be worse than that. And it's
Sure.
the most priceless, crazy, elaborate coin you've ever seen, but it's a terrible sound out there. Just like certain
Yeah.
little tiny gold rings are not that great of a target sound at first, you know?
Right.
Right.
So I know you've already brought this up. Don't Tread on Me says the AT series was awesome. There are people out there that have been swinging the Pro or Gold who can match results with any machine, and we just got through saying that. You
Yeah.
know, I've hunted with people with AT Pros and AT Maxes and AT Golds, and they're keeping up right along with me with a multi-frequency machine and so on. And I know that, again, it goes back to what I just said. You know, if you know that machine that well, you're going to be pretty successful with it.
Yeah, I've got AT Pro and Gold and Max and all that, and I still have them. Still got them in my garage, got them in my closet, and I'll switch back and forth between them. Honestly, I'm going to put them down for a while. I'm just going to go blue for a while, and
Yeah.
go the
Go
blue
blue.
because I know the power that's there and the options that are there. That said, I don't have a problem with setting it down and going back out and doing some
Right.
hunting with the Pro just because I like it and I'm familiar with it and I know it so well.
Right.
Right.
I
We
know
all
I've
get
got
it.
more options and versatility and power with this new guy, but
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with those. I mean, you can
Right.
still use that Pro and that Gold for many years to come.
Well, like I was saying earlier, Steve, a lot of the people on here are relic owners, and they Lance brings up a great question. You've already sort of answered this, but I'll let you elaborate a little bit more. They want to know more about the unmasking capabilities in iron, how this machine is different, and how this machine can help them in those heavy iron patches with picking out those really good non-ferrous targets in that iron. What could you suggest to them if they got a Vortex? How would you run the Vortex in a heavy iron patch?
Yeah, like we just touched on a second ago, eventually, if I'm hunting a heavy iron side, home side and stuff where I'm not looking for 12-inch targets, I'm probably going to go with a smaller coil to have less targets under the coil at one time. Obviously, a double D is superior at separating adjacent targets. But with this, you've got the ability to turn down some of the response, go to one of the modes where you've got suppressed iron, or even the hammered coin, the thin coins mode, where you can suppress both ends of the range to keep the better targets in play. That's going to help you lessen some of the sound of that. You've got the option to change reactivity. The
Right.
reaction speed as you get up to the 7 and with the 9. And there's a point when you go to the 9, if you set it on, 2 or 3, it's going to be,
Plenty
really
fast.
fast on the separation.
Right.
You're going to see more target ID on the scales at the top. Those are in the multi-frequency mode. You get
Right.
more target identity and more scales in the multi-frequency than you do in the single because the MDMF has got more of the analytics going on that gives you the ability to see more than one target at a time or see that the same target has multiple properties. Like a coin reads a certain way, but a washer looks and feels and seems and sounds about the same way to most detectors
Right.
until it
Yeah.
realizes
Yeah.
it's got that iron content in addition to that nice flat smooth surface. So you got to see the multiplicity of targets going on to comprehend that. And I kind of hinted that we're probably going to put another breaker option in there where you can fiddle a little bit more with some of that. So
All right.
that,
There
that's
you go.
part of what we're doing now. And even if we ship it out, is it 100% complete and finished and we're not going to touch it again? I wouldn't
No,
necessarily think that.
I
So
wouldn't think that either from what you're saying. So that's gonna be really interesting. And of
LC
course,
Hunt has a good question. He said, "What's Garrett's approach to repairs and service? Is there a single service center you send them into, or is there multiple ones, across the country?"
well, here in the country, I mean, they always have the option if they don't want to go to the dealer and have things serviced, they can, talk to the factory, talk to customer service, and if it's under
right,
warranty, our folks are going to work with our customers to work on that. Yeah, the
Right.
5x8, I'm reading Alabama Digger. It's a beast of a coil, never came off.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, I have some friends that will run that all the time, and I'm kind of like,
right,
dude, we're in a 200-acre plowed
yeah,
field. You need to get that thing off,
but
but
they
they love
love
it
it though.
so much.
They do,
Now
they do.
at the beach, I'm kind of torn between the 5x8. It's a little bit too small, so I kind of go with the Viper, the 6x11, because I get the 11-inch footprint, but it's skinny. Because you get out there and there's the beer cans and the pull tabs, but I'm trying to find the other stuff
Right.
that's in between it, but not have to swing 1,000 times with a 5x8 size.
Well, Steve, you bring up another good point. So a lot of people are really curious, and I'm going to be really curious too because I only live a mile from the beach. How's this machine going to perform on the beach? What have you guys seen as far as these saltwater beaches, handling that salt water, that black sand? How's the Vortex going to handle those types of things? And what have y'all seen in your testing, and what have these testers seen using these machines on the beach?
Yeah, we're still actually doing some final testing on some of that, but I've been to a few beaches, been Italy and England, here in the States. Not hadn't had as much time on the saltwater beaches with it, but seeing good stuff. That the Apex, one of its top, most respected things was, hey, that thing's super quiet when you hit the salt, and I found a lot of stuff with it. So people have loved that, and that's the challenge with the Vortex, is to put a little more horsepower in there, put a little more performance in what it does in the salt. So it's going to be good. Might we keep tweaking with that as we get out the door and go down the road? I
Sure.
suspect we might, but
Right.
so far it's been testing well, and I think it's going to keep improving. And I look forward to it. I'll probably be at the beach this fall, and you can bet I'll be putting in some hours out there, and
Right. Yeah.
I'll know more than I know today about it. I won't lie to you and tell you I've pulled 500 rings out of the beach with it so far, because
Right.
I haven't. But I've got coins and stuff out of the beach, but I haven't got a ton of jewelry with it yet, because I've only got just a handful of hours at the beach. I've
Right.
done more inland, uh, overseas type hunting, a lot of stuff like that, and those kind of testing. But
Right.
like I mentioned earlier, we are going to go hit the lake next week for a day and
Sure.
hopefully pop out some goodies out of there. So I'm
Okay.
eager
All
to
right.
do that.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, so if they do go into a beach mode, do they have like a salt sensitivity setting, or I mean, is there anything on there like that with the Vortex? Just curious about that.
Yeah, you've got the range, the option to change a lot of stuff. So as you get to the 7 or the 9 model, you get the multi-salt mode. When you go to the beach setting, it's going to have a little bit of iron discrim and a few things in play, and
Right.
it's going to default to put you into the multi-salt mode if you're in the beach
Okay.
setting. But that said, if I'm in the dry sand and all that, and I don't want that in play, I want wide open, I can go to 0 mode, come out of that. I can go to 5 kilohertz, I can go to 18 kilohertz or whatever I want, and go to multi-frequency and not multi-salt. So you
Right.
can make those changes, make those settings, change your reaction speeds, set your iron discrim in there, 0 to 39, take out most of that lower scale, but still keep some of the upper scale ferrous in play.
Sure.
Uh, Go in there and drop some notches in. You'll be able to toggle up and down the scales to put your notches in where you want to, set a
Sure.
Right.
custom mode. So for me, I like to set custom modes if I know I'm going to hunt a certain scenario frequently.
Right.
You can
Right.
notch out a few things or suppress a few things if you choose to.
So I know you've already alluded to this, but we talked about possibly the frequencies, and we said I think right now y'all have stopped at like 25 kilohertz. So I know a few people have asked, if there was an update, could the frequency be could you have a higher frequency like a 40 kilohertz, and would the multi work in a would it go up as well if you guys ended up implementing that?
Right.
Yeah, kind of like with the Apex, it has a blend, a multitude of frequencies working
Right.
simultaneously, and there's a higher realm of where they go versus where you can fix it on the single fixed frequencies.
Sure.
This one, I said there's a limit to where this series will go. There's the coils, there's the technology, there's lots of things in play of the
Sure.
MDMF. So there's a point where above 25, there's probably not much room to push the single fixed frequency much higher than that. So if we were going to have a 50 kilohertz or a 48 kilohertz machine to go find nuggets with,
Right.
that would probably be a different animal with a different coil on it, just
Okay.
based on the science of how these things work. I know
Sure.
there's some others out there that have a wider range of where the singles
Sure.
go,
Yeah.
but this one at its price point, it's got a cap on where you can really be effective with the fixed singles. So I don't imagine it going much above 25 if it does.
Right.
And
But
5 is a good number on the low end for finding big targets, big conductors, big silvers, things like that. Some people have preached that there's magic in 4 kilohertz and all that, but
right.
our
Yeah.
engineers look at the science and the numbers behind it and algorithms, and so really there's just a limited margin of what that does versus the trade-offs of getting that extreme. there's one realm to the other where moisture comes into play more than others, and there's things that
Right.
start having negative effects based on where you fiddle with the frequencies.
So, what about EMI and how do you think the Vortex will handle EMI? I mean, have y'all looked at that, or what can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I haven't had any problem with that, and we've run a lot of them side by side out there. Each frequency has 8 different channels you can select. So
Okay, good.
some of the older machines you might have had 4 on an AT Pro or something, but you've got 8 within each frequency. So you could have 8 guys hunting side by side, all running, 5 kilohertz, and they could all twiddle the frequencies enough to spread out and hunt relatively close to each other.
Right.
I've hunted
So,
under power lines and stuff. I haven't had any problems yet.
really, you've hunted under power lines with it. That's awesome.
Hmm.
I mean,
So
there's
good
always
to
going to be a
know.
circumstance somewhere where something's on just the magic frequency to
Yeah.
jack something up, but I
Right.
haven't personally had a lot of problems with anything yet.
Okay. And so does it have like a noise cancellation too to select the proper frequency, or is that a manual type thing? What can you tell us about that?
You go through and you select the frequency. It's not going to go and magically pick, 5 versus 9 versus 13 or something like that. You go in and you toggle. There's a simple on the left side, just a simple button over there, just to tap
Right.
to scroll through, your choices there. And the menu buttons here, you work through those. It scrolls up and down. You can go either direction once you're in the menu, and then just hit plus or minus to switch those out. If I'm doing some discrim patterns, I can walk it up the screen, walk my cursor over, and then tap the ground balance button to take something out. Change my mind, tap it again, put it back in play, then hit
Okay.
the button, and off you go. It's
Okay.
real simple. I mean, there's some machines that have tons of controls, and you almost need a manual to figure out how to set it or ask your buddy how to set it.
Right.
You can set this up real fast, hit the field, and go start finding stuff, but still have the versatility to make some custom changes and setups on it to make it a better machine for you.
Yeah, that's really good. And I appreciate everyone being in here tonight. USMC 615 says hit that like button. Please do. We would greatly appreciate that. Those likes help out with the algorithm, and it keeps great guests like Mr. Steve Moore being on here with us tonight as well. So, one other common question that I'm getting quite a bit: are we going to have a camo version of the Vortex? A lot of people love the camo, Steve. You
Yeah,
can,
we've done a few of those with Jace Robertson, and by the way, his show just dropped. I think it was today or yesterday. He just dropped
yeah,
some new episodes out there on Fox Nation. I got to
okay,
go watch them.
yeah,
Murray's going to be on my case. Murray Crow's a great guy. Loves hunting with
right,
us.
right,
Um, they like the camo. We've done a few of our machines in that. At the moment, we're going to keep it blue, getting out the gate. We own the camo pattern. If we want to down the road, there's a lot of demand for it. That option could be there. Maybe it's a special price to get it camo dipped or whatever,
yeah,
but not immediately. Not right out the gate that I know of. But
right.
customer feedback's king. So
It could
Right.
definitely be important. So I'm looking to see if I think we've covered about all it. What are the different program settings? I know that y'all said that in the video. So what do they have to select from on the Vortex? And I mean, I know what they are, but I'm gonna let you explain it a little bit and why y'all have chosen those particular programs and maybe some of the settings and things that'll make it beneficial for them to choose those programs.
yeah, that's one of the things I like is you a lot of times just get some discrim pattern settings as you roll through the
Right.
different modes and all that. And so we got to play around, have some input on this machine and say, the difference between a jewelry mode and a relics mode is not a whole lot. Can we do some more stuff? Like as you get up into a fast mode or fine or thin coins mode, can we change the reaction speed automatically so the customer doesn't have to think about it? And yes, that's the case. A lot of it's going to go to default on there. For people that have used, excuse me, Garrett's for a long time and they've known a lot of our modes, we've pulled a few out.
Right.
And the one that I call standard now is kind of the go-to that's on VX5, VX7, VX9.
Okay.
It's got some discrim in play, not a whole lot, enough to knock out some of the common iron, but it's going to be really good for just common jewelry hunting, relic hunting, and just all purpose including international coins. I know in certain countries, if you put in the notching that we do in America to pull out some of the pull tabs, you're going to knock out some coins in Canada and Australia and different places that have the steel hearts. They're composite coins, and
Right.
we're talking $1 and $2 coins can be what I'd call junk coins that give you a iron grunt because they've got
Right.
steel content.
Right.
But it's a good target. So you
Yeah.
got to dig it.
Yeah, so for the international coin folks, I would say, go with your zero mode or go with standard to start with. Check your targets as with any country. See where your coins hit. You know where they hit. You dig them. We know where the American coins hit. So we got the wonderful U.S. coins mode, and
Right.
it's great for parks and beaches and people just getting started to go dig some stuff and avoid a lot of junk. But those of you that dig a lot know that if you're going to go to the beach or even a park or something like that, I'm not going to put it in US coins personally because I know some of the jewelry that's going to fall in that crack and get lost and not get detected. So
Right.
I'm going to listen to those targets. And when I go to the beach, I'm going to dig 78 pull tabs. And if I'm lucky, I'm going to get one little ring after digging those 78 pull tabs,
You're right.
because a lot of that's kind of right in that same realm.
Right.
So reaction speed, some preset sensitivity, some preset discrim patterns. The thin coins I mentioned with
Right. That's in
suppression
the point
on
mode. Yeah.
high and low and peak response on the goodies, if you will, that those in England and Europe especially like. Um, some of my best coins, little hammered ones, gold coin here in America that I found, they would all hit in that fine coins or thin coins window.
Wow.
Um,
Right.
so it's just having choices. And you were asking what's on the what I'm looking at a piece of paper here. I think there's 7 different modes preset with the
Right.
VX9, and it steps down as you go down to the 5. There's
Right.
less on
Right.
the base model, more on the 7. You bring in the thin coins, you bring in the fast mode, you bring in the beach mode. Same thing with the frequencies. Uh, some of the detectors have either, one fixed multi across the board. Some have, 15 kilohertz or something fixed across the board that you can't change.
Right.
So even with the VX5, you have a choice of a very strong multi with a lot more target analysis, or you can go with a fixed frequency of 13. And 13's in each of the machines. That's a great middle of the road frequency if you don't know what you want to do or what's good.
Right.
10, 12, 13, 15, those are real good numbers to hit really well on almost all types of targets.
Right.
Other
And
ends of the spectrum, you have pros and cons of going super high frequency for little nuggets and bad conductors to super low for, the bigger silver conductors.
so
Right.
when you run multi, Steve, and I mean, I know you can't tell us the magic sauce that you have for what frequencies those are running. It's going to be somewhere between 25 and 4, I'm assuming, and you've sort of designed it in that way. Is it hitting on, I mean, can you elaborate a little more on the multi and just sort of maybe tell us a little more about that and why it's so special and why it does a great job on the Vortex?
Yeah, and honestly, just like with the Apex, it's kind of the special sauce, and
Right.
they don't tell the marketing guys all of that, and probably
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
tell
get
most of us that. But it's a blend of different frequencies as you get into that. And I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it goes a little higher than the 25, and
okay.
it,
Well,
it,
that's
it's a
good. That's
mixture of the
where I was
stuff.
going with that.
But locked
Yeah.
in single frequency, it does not exceed the 25 on the 9. That's as high as it goes on this one. But
Right.
there's a blend of different frequencies going on that help you analyze more targets simultaneously. Soil analysis is a big thing, and as I touched on with the MDMF, the multidimensional,
Right.
it's the ferrous content analysis in addition to the soil and the conductivity of the target. So you're getting multiple things going on that, depending on which level, whether you're in multi or single frequency, you're going to get more information presented because of that. But
Right.
either way, even in the single frequency, you're going to get the benefits of that analysis happening behind the scenes to give you better target ID, great depth and
Right.
great analysis of the soil to run. So you're getting the benefit regardless of which frequency choice you're in. So running a
Right.
VX5, I will find a ton of stuff with that machine. It's
Yeah.
not to say that, oh, poor thing, that's what you got. It's
Yeah.
an awesome machine, and you can make it more awesome if you choose
Right.
to.
Yeah. You can just keep upgrading or going up in the type of hardware or software that you're getting with the machine without having to buy new hardware. You know.
Yeah, if I'm a relic hunting in the woods all the time, I don't necessarily need to have a beach mud. Maybe I don't want it. Maybe I can't afford it.
Right.
The 5 is an awesome machine.
Right.
Personally, I'm going to go with the 9 because I go to a whole variety of places and I know what's in there. I know that it gets stronger as you step up. There's more power in those machines. The 9's stronger overall than the 5. I know
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So I just like that option. I
Right.
maybe in a couple places where I have to take it down a notch or two because there's too much going on, too many targets. I want to ease it back, smaller coil, notch back sensitivity 1 or 2 times, but every environment's a little bit different, you know.
Right, exactly. And I
Right.
think that the Vortex gives you the option of hunting in so many different environments. Last thing, and then we're gonna, and by the way, if you've stuck around for this hour, it's a long show, but
You should give
hours.
them something for sticking around. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're giving away, and Mr. Steve Moore is going to be giving this away. We're giving away one of the Garrett pinpointers tonight. So if you've stuck around for a good reason. All these other people that they signed off, they lost out. They should have stuck around for the whole show. To hear all this great information that Steve shared with us tonight, guys.
Right.
We've gotten more out of this show tonight than we've gotten off of any video, off of any other live stream. And I promise you, Steve has shared with you everything that he can possibly share. And we appreciate him doing that and giving us all this additional information that we haven't gotten in other places. So we really appreciate Steve being on here tonight and
Yeah.
being willing
Sure
to
do.
participate and just answer all of this information, because I think, and I don't know for sure, but I think a lot of the questions that some people had got answered tonight by you, Steve. I really
Well,
do.
if you're
I
still
do
with us,
too.
you're still awake, then yeah, we deserve to pull a Pro Pointer AT and get it to somebody because
Yes.
I don't care what you're hunting with. Pro Pointer AT is a must-have thing. You know, water hunter, land hunter, you name it. So,
Right. You
Michael,
gotta
how are they
have
going to win this baby? What are we going to do here? You know?
no, we're gonna do our and most of the people that are on here most of the time know now. Hey, it's amazing, Steve. So now that I've told them there's gonna be a giveaway, that count just
Jump back up.
escalated. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden everybody's awake, you know.
Everybody send $20 to Steve Moore, and he'll pull the name out of a hat, right?
That's it. That's definitely it.
Yeah.
So what we normally do is we do a little giveaway, and we have a little giveaway thing that we run. And so let me pull that up, and we'll get that going. And again, it's always fun, and we really appreciate you being on here tonight. Is there anything else, Steve, that you would like to share with the audience, just for them to know about what you guys got coming? And maybe, I know you've already said, when can they possibly expect these machines to start shipping?
Yeah, we kind of hit that early on in the show. Like I said, we're doing some fine tuning. We're making a few tweaks, adding a few things, opening a door or two that will make it more versatile as we get down the road. And I think everybody's going to be happier for that. I'm happier each week with everything I see. So hang
Right.
tight. We'll get started here before too long. Get it out there. Appreciate you guys having me on. Appreciate answering some questions.
Oh yeah, and you did
Yeah, we
such an
enjoyed it.
amazing job too. And again, everybody on here, they just want to hear. They want to hear the knowledge, the information. They want to get it from the source. And again, you being on here, I think is just kudos to you. Kudos to Garrett, just being willing to share the information with our audience, because our audience are diehard relic hunters. They love their machines. They love the hobby. They love history. And I know you're a big history buff too, and history lover as well. And they just want to go out there and find some amazing things. Whatever machine it is, if it's a Garrett, then they want to go out there and know that they've got a great product, which I know that you guys are producing and making great products to get them into those positions to find some amazing artifacts and amazing relics. And,
Yep.
and here's one thing too that I want to stress too. You're a relic hunter. You are a metal detectorist. You're out there. And Steve, how long have you been metal detecting? Tell everyone.
Like I said, I tried one in the '80s. A cousin had, but I wasn't into it at that point. So it's since I've been with Garrett, and I guess I'm approaching 19 years before too long here. So
Right.
that's been the hard, part of it. I can't claim I was doing a lot of hunting before that time. I was more deer hunting and fisherman when I was a younger kid. But since I've been with Garrett, I've got 18 plus years in the field, all kinds of environments. I'm by no means an expert of anything. You guys probably know more about relic hunting than me, but I've dabbled a little bit in diving, a little bit in relic hunting, a little bit in coin hunting, a little bit in different countries. And I learn everywhere I go, and I get with some good folks, and I learn from them all the time. So
Right.
Yeah.
And like
Exactly.
Detecting Diggs, he's ordered a VX9, Steve. He's already got his order in. He says, I love it when a company cares enough to listen to their customers or possible customers. And again, I think Garrett does a great job of that. And I said this to Greg, your marketing department is just awesome. I love that you guys show up to shows and events, and you're there and you're answering questions. And even when you didn't have a product right out on the market, while all these other companies did, you were still present, you were still showing out, and a lot of loyal customers were glad to see that. And I think that played a huge part into keeping the Garrett name out there and keeping things going in the positive and right direction, and moving that era forward. And again, kudos to you guys for doing that and being
yeah, certainly appreciate that, and we do. We go to lots of hunts. We disappoint more than we make happy because we can't go to all of them. There's so many invites, so many hunts. We can't go. Some of our buddies that wear the Garrett hats, they go to KG and Ringy, and some of the other folks, adventure archaeology. A lot of folks that like to wear the Garrett flag and wear the Garrett hat, they go to the hunts, and we'll train, we'll teach. So this fall, as you get out to some of the hunts, if I'm not there, one of these other guys is there, come up and ask them. Come to the test garden, come try the Vortex out. You're skeptical, you heard good things, you heard bad things, you don't know. Make your own decision. That's all I say. I'll wrap it up, leave it at that. Give us a chance, check it out. We know you got other brands. I got multiple brands of guns. I got multiple fishing poles. I understand that mentality. A lot of them are good, but come check it out. And hey, I see a giveaway tool. We should give something away. I should quit
we're going
talking.
to give some away. I'm popping this up, and we're going to get this going. But again, check out a Vortex. Give a Vortex a shout. Look at it. Take a look at it. You're going to be. I think we're going to be surprised by what we see out of the Vortex, and I'm excited about it. I know Michael's excited about it. I know a lot of people on this show tonight are excited about it. And a lot of people love Garrett products. So again, let's get out there and let's check those things out. Thank you. We've got a couple of people too, and we're gonna recognize them that donated to the channel, and we're gonna recognize them in just a second. But we're gonna start collecting comments. So it's gonna be hashtag Garrett. So let's put those hashtags in there. And somebody is going to win a Garrett Carrot tonight. And we appreciate Mr. Steve Moore being on with us tonight and being a part of our show. Thank you so much, Steve. I can't thank you enough for being here. And again, I think people are going to go away from this show and then watch the replay, and they're going to get a lot of their questions answered that they were dying to hear, and you provided those answers tonight and making them feel really good about what's going on with Garrett. And I know.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for having me on. A pleasure. Do it again some point down the road, guys. And wow, look at those entries popping up. So.
Oh yeah, they're coming, Steve. They're
Somebody
coming.
wants the Garrett.
Yeah. So, and hopefully soon, guys, I might have a Vortex in my hands, and I can't wait to show it to you guys. Give you some ideas about what I'm seeing with it out in the field, using it on a relic hunt, using it on the beach, and showing the Vortex to you guys, and all the fantastic capabilities that I think this machine's going to have. So real excited about that as well. So yeah, it's going to be really good. And while we're doing that, DCM Detects, thank you so much for the donation tonight. Remember, all donations go back into the channel. They help support our live stream, bringing on great guests like Mr. Steve Moore from Garrett Metal Detectors. And again, cameras, adventures, all of those things go into it. Thank you to Mr. Trevor Van Horn. We appreciate Trevor with his donation tonight. We appreciate that, Trevor. Again, all those donations go straight back into the channel. And again, you guys are supporting us, and we appreciate that. And we hope to have more and more of these great guests like Steve as well. And hopefully Steve will come back and we can talk more about the Vortex again. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. And hopefully
me too.
He will do that in the near future. And I really see big things for Garrett coming up, especially with the release of the Vortex. And there are a lot of people getting in on this. And
very good. Well, again, guys, thanks for having me. I'll let you sign off here shortly and get on about your evening. I know it's later there than it is here, but
yeah, well, we
great.
appreciate you taking time away from your family and everything just to be on here with Michael and I. Mike, we got any more questions to ask Steve real quick while we're letting everyone get in their final hashtags here?
None that I think of, but I'm looking forward to this machine. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great machine, you know.
Right.
Yeah, definitely for you relic hunters. You're going to love it. Like I said, I'm ready to hit the woods this fall when it gets a little bit cooler. But, you know, for now, the water is the place for us to be in Texas.
Well, Steve, I'll give you an open invitation to come and hunt with us here in South Carolina. I mean, I've got a couple of great permissions. Be glad to take you to, and let's go out and have some fun. So you're more than welcome to come out and hunt with us too.
Well, I appreciate that. And, you know, obviously after this is over tonight, just shoot me an email. I'll jump on that Monday and figure out who our lucky winner is and get something put in the system next week for them.
Okay, very good. All right, so if you do win tonight, remember, you have to send me an email, sransc@gmail.com. Send that email, and you must do it immediately after you win, okay? And let me know that you were the winner. Give me your hashtag or whatever your logo is or whatever you go by, your call sign on YouTube, so I know that it's you. But please make sure that you do that if you win. You must be present to win too. So hopefully you are here and you didn't bail on us. And we appreciate you guys sticking around. We got up to almost close to 100 people on here tonight, Steve. And the replay is going to carry on even further. So again, I think it was a great show. And once again, we appreciate you being here with us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. It should be really, really nice. So we got 58. All right, guys, I'm getting ready to do it. So anybody else? This is going fast. Going once.
Going twice. Three times.
We're out. All right. Yes, hit that like button if you haven't already. And that's going to help the algorithm. That's going to get us going too. So we appreciate you guys so much tonight for being a part of our show, being a part of the conversation with Mr. Steve Moore. And let's do this drawing and let's see who's going to win a Garrett pinpointer. So let's see what we got going on. So we're going to do our drawing, and here we go. So who is going to be the lucky person tonight, Michael? This is going to be interesting. Adventures in Dirt.
All right. Congrats. We got a winner.
Great title. Okay, Adventures in Dirt. Shoot me an email, sransc@gmail.com, and we're going to get Garrett to get you out one of those Garrett AT pinpointers straight to you. So definitely do that. He says cheers. So there we go. Yeah.
All right. Just make sure they get your shipping address and, phone and email contact to you, and then pass it on to me, and we'll get on that next week. So congrats, Adventure in Dirt.
Yes, Adventures in Dirt. Congratulations. And again, you guys are amazing. Thank y'all for all the support tonight. Thank y'all for being on here with us. It's going to be a great weekend. Hopefully you guys can get out and do some detecting, go out and find some amazing things like most of you always do. And if you do find something amazing, don't forget to share that with us. and we'll get that up on our live stream, talk about some of these great finds that you guys are doing and so on. But again, it's been a great night, great show. Appreciate you, Steve, so much. Looking forward to you coming back on here, talking a little more about the Garrett maybe later on, a couple of months or whatever. All you got to do is say, hey, I'd like to come back on.
All right. Thanks again for having me, guys.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate it, Steve. Enjoyed it.
All right. You guys have a fantastic evening. And as always, we will catch you guys again on our next adventure. Take care. See you soon. Have a great and fantastic weekend. And Southern Relic Adventures and NC Relic Hunter and Mr. Steve Moore, we're out. Thank you, guys.